Welcome back to Kenton and Habiba. So today I have our special guest, my husband Kenton. I managed to extract him from his busy schedule. And so, say hello.
Hello, nice seeing you. You look familiar.
I look familiar, right? So a few months ago, I asked if you could send us some questions, specifically awkward questions about our marriage, I think is how I stated it. So we're gonna go through that. Kenton has not seen any of the questions, so it's gonna be a bit of a surprise for him. The first question comes from, and I'll read her handle because this is obviously public. Christina Mathis says, did Kenton's parents approve of your marriage? Question mark. What is the relationship like with that side of the family? Does Kenton enjoy you being around more now that you are on a break from medicine? So this is actually like 3 questions. So maybe...
Well, 2 of them are more for you.
Right. Okay, so I'll read the first one again. Did Kenton's parents approve of your marriage? Question mark. So obviously, let's start by saying clearly we are in an interracial marriage. I'm Black. I'm half African and half Caribbean.
What?
Right? And you are?
I thought you were dark Vietnamese.
I'm dark Vietnamese, right. All right, and he is Vietnamese and American, or white American. But culturally, you would say you're Vietnamese American, right?
American. I mean, I was raised here. I'm American. I mean, culturally, right. The Western perspective in regards to politics and stuff like that. So.
Now, did his parents approve of your marriage? All right, so I will say, in all honesty, I wouldn't say our marriage. We have to go back to when we were young, because we've been together for over, almost 30 years,
30
right?
years, yeah.
So I will say his parents, or specifically his mother, definitely did not approve of our relationship when we were young. I will say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
Right? If I'm telling the truth.
I mean, there's just always on all levels, there's some level of uncomfortability, of concern, and again, this is part of it. But then as people get to know each other, that bridges that. But
sure.
And in a lot of families, it's sort of like even people who claim that they're liberal, but then when just like that old Sidney Poitier movie, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Right.
But then when it's about who marries and comes into the family, then all of a sudden you find that all these barriers start to pop up.
So again, specifically, you said, did Kenton's parents approve of your marriage? So what I'm saying is that no. She specifically did not approve of our relationship when we first started dating.
Yeah.
Now, did she approve of our marriage? Hopefully by then it wasn't such a huge issue, or hopefully, it took a few years.
She came to the
wedding.
And
then she came to the wedding. So she did come to the wedding.
Yeah,
and I was definitely, I don't remember if I was very surprised, but maybe we were surprised. And I think she was surprised once she got to see my family, or my side of the family, the Caribbean side of the family.
And she liked your mom. And
she liked my mom, and they have a very, actually, I would say almost similar background in some sense, as kind of single moms trying to raise children.
Yeah.
So they had that, in common. They understand the struggle of trying to do that in America. I mean,
They had children young.
Right, they both had children young, same age.
Same age generation.
So they had
both
some
crazy.
Commonalities. They're both crazy. So I'll say that...
Eccentric.
Right, at this point, does she approve of our marriage? I mean, I would like to think so.
Yeah.
I mean, she had concerns about us having children back then. Now we have children, and I think she cares about our children.
Yeah. She always talks about, she always wants to talk to you.
Right. And I feel over the years that we've developed a decent relationship, a cordial relationship, where I feel like she respects me,
I think my mom means well. She means well.
We both matured. I would say that, we, as in you and I, we've all had to sort of mature to understand some of her.
Well, it's that, but I think and I think it's just you have to meet people where they are. I think sometimes unless it's necessary, to draw boundaries for one's own personal mental health and safety.
So the second part of that question was, what is the relationship like with that side of the family? So I would say right now the relationship is good. You've seen me take a trip to California. You've seen that, or we've told you we used to live actually in California for a few years before we moved away. But yeah, I've gone to California, even when I didn't live there.
Yeah, I think it's just distance.
It's just exactly. Right now, it's really just about the geography of things. It's very hard and very expensive to come from that part of the country to this part and vice versa. But we're definitely on good terms.
Yeah, and then also relationship with sister-in-laws.
Right. Yeah.
Kathy and me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I'm sure all of the sister-in-laws. It's not just me. I'm sure all of them can relate to some of our struggles with our mother-in-law. We've all, to a certain degree, had some issues, I would say. None of it has been perfect. It's definitely been very rocky at different points. But we've gotten over it.
She's mellowed out too.
Age will do that. It will mellow you out.
Some people.
Okay, now this one is for you. Does Kenton enjoy you being around more now that you're on a break from medicine?
Yes.
What is that?
I answered it.
No, answer it fully.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
I come on. I enjoy you as much as I can enjoy you.
That's so rude. What does that mean? First of all, Kenton hates it when I'm away, okay? Here's my happy dance at the end of the day. We'll be going home soon, we'll be going home soon, we'll be going home soon. Hey, let's be honest. Kenton hates it when I'm away. He starts talking about all the things that are wrong with him, how he needs me to be close by, how I can't be away, I need to be right here, how I should enjoy my life and do the things that bring me joy. So I don't know what he's doing right now. All right, Andrew Hunter said, did you ever experience any racism or prejudice from Kenton's side of the family or vice versa? So since we've already answered from my perspective, I think Kenton, you should answer.
Well, I mean.
From,
racism,
from my side, would you say?
Your side?
Yeah.
Not that I was aware of. I mean, right. I found, the family's extremely open. I mean, your mom would say some interesting things, but I don't think, again, it's intention. I don't think that she intends it. I mean,
right, it wasn't out of racism or prejudice. It's just
I just think that based on the generation and stuff.
Right, I'll give you an example.
Okay, you.
Right. I don't know why he's uncomfortable. I'll give you an example.
Well, because I just don't, because
no,
people.
It's okay. It's okay. We're adults.
But no, it's not about us being adults. It's just that sometimes, people are really judgy in this time.
Right.
And I think sometimes when people are being judgy, are they being judgy because they're trying to educate and instruct? Or are they being judgy because it makes themselves feel better or themselves feeling, more superior? See, this is what I'm talking about, value and intent. If I come to you and say, okay, this is challenging, this is an issue,
right?
But I'm doing it with a sense of compassion and to reach an understanding that you may not doing it out of ill intent or ill will,
right.
Because so you say things,
Sure.
But some people come out right out the gate, it. they'll just come out like judgy, like that guy talked about being more smarter. You know, it's like you're just coming out judging when you're not trying to come with understanding or anything. So that's why I'm trying to be careful. It's like
sure, but hopefully you guys, you understand that we're being honest and open and vulnerable, and this is not, you know, most of our viewers are very positive people and hopefully very understanding. And you know, it's as easy as you'll be blocked if you come in with some hateful comments, that's all. But I don't feel like I need to filter my comments because I'm hurting your feelings or that I'm not politically correct. And we're not coming from an ill place.
Change, you know, just like when people make, you know, when we were growing up, people used to use the R word to describe someone that was mentally challenged or were differently able.
Sure.
The concept differently able didn't exist when we were growing up, right? You didn't have that when you had, you know, you had special education. You didn't have different capability. You know, it's like you talked about things in deficits. So in the same sense, your mother, when she would say things, she came from a place.
Right. My mother, you know, growing up grew up, you know, sort of the British. My mother had a lot of British sensibilities about her, and also
And we know the British have a history, as Markle and Prince Harry came out in the Oprah interview, that there's, which was no surprise.
Right.
I expect when you have a history of colonialism, that whoa, surprise, there's racism and classism.
So some of her terms, it's what's important is her meaning. I don't think you would agree. Like my mom, my grandpa, my grandmother, there was never any oh, you shouldn't come home with Kenton because he's not black. There was never, ever that kind of conversation. But my mom, just like my great grandma, who has since passed away, I mean, she was like born 1910. So you can imagine the vocabulary is going to be different. But her intention behind it was never about being racist or anything. So she would, you know, my mom might say, oh my God, Habiba is dating a Chinaman. I think that might be the worst my mom's ever said. Or my great-grandma, my grandma, oh, Habiba's dating a Chinaman. And you know, Kenton back then would be a little bit offended, like, first of all, you don't call us Asians Chinamen, one. And two, not every Asian person is Chinese. As we know, Kenton is Vietnamese. So, I mean, that's about it. And we have since corrected my mother on on that, and she doesn't talk like that, you know, when she knows that that's not appropriate. But I think, you know, we do have to give our seniors or our elders or our parents grace at times, because they are coming from a different generation, and what was appropriate for them to say back then may not be appropriate now. Just like I know we say stuff that our children look at us and are like, mommy, daddy, you cannot say that. I'm like, why not? You know?
Well, it's intent. You know? I mean, if the intent, again, that's not to give people a pass. If their intent is hate.
Right.
I mean, if you know, we're at Thanksgiving and, you know, your mother is like, hey, make sure you pass the rice, Chinaman. And
oh my God, that would be so rude.
I mean, then it'd be like a little awkward,
rude.
Right?
But she would never say that. She would never say that.
No, I look in her eyes. Are you thinking that?
And the kind of relationship you have with my mom now, you guys are very playful and open, and actually Kenton is very close to my mom, you know? There really is hardly been a time in our life where she wasn't involved with our struggles or our, you know, challenges. She's always been very helpful and supportive. Next question is from R. Hogan. You guys still have so much life, and hopefully this is a ways up the road, but do you and Kenton see yourselves as the type of grandparents who will babysit often? That's like a strange question.
Well, he's trying to say, he's trying to say, are we going to be involved grandparents, or, you know, like, it really just depends upon the boundaries that our children will have with their kids and their spouse. Because that's a thing, you can't just, again, you have to also respect boundaries and stuff like that. You don't want to, because some, people will come in and they'll co-op the raising of the grandchildren, and that's something definitely you don't want to do either. So.
I mean, but obviously I feel like...
I want to be involved, yeah.
Right, based on the type of parents we are, which you can see we're very involved with our children. I'm sure, at least from my point of view, I'm going to be very involved in my grandchildren.
Yeah.
I know that. I mean, boundaries or not, I know I'm going to be very involved in my grandchildren's life. I can't wait to have grandchildren.
Yeah.
I really can't. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I love y'all, but why don't you ever let Kenton finish a thought or a sentence?
Who's that? Who wrote that?
Janikia Woods.
Miss Woods, thank you for your comment. I appreciate you. Thank you. Just...
First of all, Miss Janikia, my husband, as we've often said, is a little bit of an introvert. And then on top of that, when he gets on camera, he gets all clamped up, okay?
Wow.
And then I think part of it is I didn't notice that I was cutting you off often. I mean, it is my personality, okay? It is. I'm a little bit much. I'm trying to tone it down. But the thing is, honestly, when I have the camera, because I'm generally the one vlogging most of the time, because he doesn't want to hold the camera, he doesn't want to be self-conscious. So I'm holding the camera, so it just happens naturally that I will tend to speak because I don't like complete silence, okay? I just don't like the silence.
That's where you edit it, because I think, see, I slow down, I think about what I'm about to say, because I'm trying to parse out my sentences.
All right, and first of all, okay, you guys are seeing Kenton on camera. He is a lot louder and a lot more, a lot more when he's off camera, okay?
Well,
so it just comes off that I am this way, even though I am this way.
You're all, see, that's the thing. You're all this way consistently. That's what it is. That's the thing. I adapt to, the mode of presentation and stuff like that.
So, Miss Janikia Woods, I don't appreciate that, okay?
I do. Thank you.
But I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm working on it. I'm trying not to cut him off often, And
I'll try to speak quicker so that way she doesn't feel the urge to cut me off.
Right. Okay.
Quick.
All right. All right. So this one's Candy Apple says, my question is for Kenton. How did you adjust to fatherhood and having Habiba away from work? All right, it's her two-part question, but I'll start with that first half.
I think it's like, really the broader question is really, it's like how, as partners in raising a family and being professionals at different stages of supporting each other as well as raising a family. I think that's the challenge in any relationship. And I think one of the things is that this is where you have to make a clear, conscious decision that you are you're in service. That's basically what it is. That basically that you are giving of yourself to your children and also to your spouse, and that means that you will have to be willing to sacrifice, and I think this is where sometimes the strain happens, or you don't have any time for me. Well, it's like, what the deal is when you got into it, especially when you have someone, because again, you think about it, also you're giving up, you're going to school, but you want to be with your baby, Sure. And so it's like there's a sacrifice. So I think it's like you have to step outside yourself.
How about more recently, Doe, again, when I'm traveling away for work, locum, how do you adjust to fatherhood?
Well, I mean, you just adjust to routine. I adjust to fatherhood because that's already set. That's the thing. So the thing is that if you're already opted in, it is that you're just changing the process of the delivery but the foundation is already there. I think the challenge comes is that if you weren't a present parent, now you have to be present. Then all of a sudden, that's the thing. Then you have to create a whole foundation of being present, and then you have to then develop the processes to deliver those services. So to put in concrete terms, it's like if you weren't the type that was involved already in your child's life, like taking them to programs, going to their school, going to, making sure that they're sign up for programs and stuff like that, tutoring or whatever. And so you were never involved, and then all of a sudden you're getting thrust in it. You're gonna have some challenges in trying to do those things.
You were always present, so
so it's just more of a I took the kids to school. We had those crucial conversations. How was your day? I picked them up. I always made a point that I took my lunches at the time to be involved in their school programs, and then after school I would go to their plays and stuff. Do they remember? No. I asked them, and they're like, it was all right.
All right. Yeah. This question is for Habiba. Did the relationship with your father impact you when you were dating Kenton, and also when you got married? What? How do you keep such a strong foundation of your culture in an interracial relationship? Well, that's definitely more than one question. That's 2, 3.
Well, yeah.
All right. Did your relationship with your father impact you when you were dating Kenton? Well, by the time I was dating Kenton, I guess I was already in the United States, and I would say my relationship with my father was somewhat damaged, I would say, because at that point we didn't live in the same house. Was I concerned that my father would approve or not approve? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was free to be myself in the United States, and my father came a few times, but then he was back in Nigeria full time.
I could understand. It's like
all right, here comes some foolishness.
It's the forbidden fruit kind of thing, It's kind of like partaking of what was barred from you, and it's kind of like that guilty pleasure kind
What's
of
thing.
What's
the forbidden fruit?
I understand that.
What's the forbidden fruit?
I understand it. It's okay. We don't have to get
You're the forbidden fruit?
I understand that. It's okay.
So anyway, hopefully you've watched the video about how I came to the United States, or you've watched the interview with my father, and hopefully you understand. But now, I guess so many years later, I would say my father and you had a pretty decent relationship, right?
I think again, interact with me at a later stage. I mean, as a father, and raising kids, and it's different, and just having a whole different, and again, like I said, I approach people, meeting them where they are. I don't engage in judgment unless it's absolutely clear. I mean, if you're just a complete douche, I mean, then it is what it is. But everyone's got challenges and flaws and stuff, and you meet them where they are, and again, I think people are in general are inherently good, and sometimes it's just damage and from childhood and experiences and sort of deliveries. But I think many people mean well.
He didn't really have any influence at that point over who I dated. But now, years later, I guess that question is really irrelevant now, because we've been married for so long, we've had kids. Technically, I could be a grandmother, but I'm not, because I started later, and my kids are just,
after 30,
they're not planning on any kids anytime soon.
After 30 years, I can say, you gotta get over it. But I think it's not an issue. It's a non-issue.
So it's not really an issue. How do you keep a strong foundation of your culture in an interracial relationship? Maybe I'll let you answer.
Well, I think the broader question there is that I think that's part of the concerns about interracial relationships. Again, going beyond the fact that race is a social construct, but even then it does have impact, because you talk about values, and that's really what's the heart of it, is about values. Now, if you value you value the individual and their uniqueness, means that not only that you accept but you also cherish and you elevate. See, that's the piece. Because tolerance in itself alone is not enough. You have to also appreciate and celebrate.
Right.
So if I truly love you, I also appreciate you, but then I celebrate your uniqueness. I'm not here to make you me.
Right.
God knows I don't want another me. So
Right.
that's the whole point. But a lot of times that's what people want. They want more of themselves, but that's
Right.
that's
Or
fine.
I was thinking about that speaker the other day, but the one that was saying that he felt that it was evil or it was bad
Sure.
for the races to mix, and it
Yeah.
was just damaging for the black community,
Sure.
for black women to marry non-black men, or
but-
vice versa.
Oh, he was talking about black men too.
I think so.
Makes sense.
And on both sides, he was saying
But most of the time
generally,
they put it on the
even though most of the
But
time
you
they
know
put it
what?
on the black women,
you know
on
what's
both
interesting?
sides.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting statistically, black women are the least likely to engage in interracial relationships. As a matter of fact, black women engaging into a relationship with an Asian male is actually it's a unicorn.
Right, right. We're unicorns, basically.
It's the smallest.
Right.
Because of those cultural affinity towards
Right.
selection.
Right.
Black men will actually engage in more interracial relationships
Right.
than black women. Black women are extremely loyal. If you look at it from that perspective, is that
Right.
they sit there, and God knows I love black women. But with that said, I think I totally understand where it's coming from, because again, if you look at that same thing where indigenous people and Native Americans, you're trying to retain that culture and also that dilution issue and stuff like that. But the thing is that that's not occurring at that great rate. Again, it goes to culture and race. And race is a social construct. And so the thing is that because you got Africans that don't identify with African Americans, right? See, that's the other thing. You got Caribbeans that don't identify with African Americans and don't identify with Africans.
Right.
Because it's culture.
Right.
It's a common value of language, of food, and all those other things. And then you want to parse that down. So people are going to naturally select
what they're familiar with, what they're comfortable
what they value
with.
what's that. So going back to the thing, so you are able to retain it also because you are a strong, intelligent woman, but at the same time, I also elevate and celebrate what makes you unique.
Right. I didn't feel like I was losing myself just because I married someone who didn't happen to be black. I just felt like I was gaining an understanding of another culture while still maintaining mine. Both my parents were black, but actually came from two completely different cultures. So it was familiar territory for me to be with someone who had a different culture than myself, because both my parents came from two different cultures despite supposedly being of the same race. So yeah, for me, it wasn't about race. It is about culture, and it is about celebrating your culture, as he pointed out. I learned a lot about the Vietnamese culture. He learns a lot about the Caribbean culture and about Nigerian culture, as much as we can, both of us living in the US. Oh, here's a good one. Janine Presley said, "How did you know Habiba was the one for you?"
I never thought of it that way. How did I
Yeah,
know
that's what she said.
that she was the one for me?
Right.
I think that's a question I ask daily. What? These are great questions. I really do. I mean, I no, but seriously. I mean, you're the one. There's a saying in Spanish: the heart wants what it wants.
We don't even speak Spanish.
I know, but it sounds more beautiful in Spanish than the way I just said it. Mi corazón. But no, I mean, I get it's one of the mysteries in life. I mean, if you try to, think about it like in an intellectual way, I don't think love, in many ways, the mystery of love it's not an intellectual exercise. some aspects of it is this a good person, they have values and stuff, but I think that when the connection with a person, you know, I think that, you know, it's also about values and you know, you look in the person's, if it is possible at all, into a person's soul.
When you first met me, okay, I'm sorry I cut him off. Because when you first met me, and well, maybe not when you first met me, but when we were dating, you know, what motivated you not to move on to somebody else? You know, you could have moved on to someone else.
Yes, and I asked that question many times, like when we're doing these things. No, I mean, what kind of silly question is that? I mean, moving on, I mean, you know, all right, y'all,
you're not gonna get an answer.
Because there's not an answer, that's the thing. It's not like,
get an answer.
I mean, it's not like I sit there and go like, bingo, it's that one thing. I mean, and you gotta remember, relationships are is a process. I mean, see, that's the thing. It's not just, oh, you're the one at that point. 30 years ago, at every point, that's the check-in. It's like, you know, 5 years later. And it's really the question is that, not are you the one? The other thing is that, am I still the one for you? Am I adding value to your life? Am I, you know, creating joy for you? Am I, you know, an active participant and a partner that's growing together? I mean, it's not so much about you, it's also about me, you know? Am I the one for myself? You know, that's the question.
Are you done?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, Lord. All right. Josie said, you both are really beautiful people, I must say. Thank you, Josie. Oh my God, the power just went out. Oh my God, the power just went out.
Josie or Jose?
Well,
it might be Jose.
No, this person too. Oh, that's Jose?
Yeah. Or is it Josie?
I don't know.
It might be Josie. Yeah, actually.
And then Kumba Dabo said, beautiful couple, thank you. All right, give us some tips for a blissful marriage. This is from Maxine Nestor. Give us some tips from a blissful marriage. We might have to speed up through these.
Well, that one's a whole segment on its own.
Do you have conflicts and how do you resolve these?
That's part of it too.
Right. All right, let's give them 5 tips.
5 tips?
Yeah, just 5 quick tips.
Silence, food, enough sleep, distance.
Distance. That's why every 5 minutes he's looking for me. If I move away and he don't see me, he comes looking.
Oh no, that makes it sound like I'm a stalker. That sounds crazy. That doesn't even sound healthy. Every move. That means that when you go in the bathroom, I'm standing there. Hey, babe.
Sometimes.
That's ridiculous. That is not. That's only if you're asking me because you need something.
Anyway, I was gonna say compromise, learning to compromise, learning not to be so selfish. You know, I'll be the first to say, I guess as a Leo who was someone raised, I wasn't raised as an only child, but I was raised as the oldest and also being the only girl who never shared a room, who maybe some viewed as a little spoilt. And again, just by my personality. So what happens is I could be very self-centered. And so when you get married or when you're in a relationship, you have to learn to put yourself to the side just a little bit and make room for somebody else. Because if you're the type that you're so rigid, you gotta have everything the way you want it, and you're not willing to compromise, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So you have to learn to bend a little bit and do things that they wanna do that you may not necessarily want to do all the time. I would say that's one thing.
Yeah.
And then a second thing would be being honest with each other. You know, if he upsets me or vice versa, I think it's important that we share, hey, you know, give it a few minutes. This is what you did that I did not appreciate or I didn't like, because maybe I misunderstood or maybe he misunderstood something. So we never go to bed angry. I mean, I can count the few times we've been to bed where we were angry. Maybe twice this year so far at most.
Yeah, it's only twice this year, but it lasted 6 months.
It lasted
Oh, that's
6
a whole
months.
year.
All right, another tip. One more tip.
In my head.
One more tip.
Oh, sense of humor. You just gotta not take yourself too seriously. I think sometimes what happens, you take situations, too seriously, make things too personal. Make sure you don't say things that you're gonna regret. I mean, sometimes what it is, you get so mad and it's about, again, if the other person though totally, disrespects you and stuff like that you gotta have boundaries. Mm-hmm. But that's also part of it, is respect. Even if you have disagreements, it's always like you shouldn't, there are things that are off bounds, you just don't go there. You don't insult, each other's parents or, stuff like, you don't go, those things can be really like vicious, mm-hmm. So you gotta always look at things with grace and intent.
How do you manage financial matters as a couple?
Not well.
As a couple?
Do the best we can.
Right, I don't think that's our strong point, so don't come to us for financial advice. That's not necessarily our strength, but somehow we manage to make it work after all these years, right?
Yeah.
He leads when it comes in that department. I would say he pretty much, leads.
I mean, I think that you just work with each other and just make sure you just be as responsible as possible. Right.
But I also will say, for women that are in a relationship, it's important to have your own money.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to have, you need money to do things that you want to do and not always have to rely on your husband. I think this might be old-fashioned, but sometimes my money is my money, his money is our money. That's how it works.
Well, okay, so going back to the other question about blissful marriage, because that was the part that was left, I think that we stir up. The number one reason why many relationships end, particularly, the ones like in divorce, it's money.
Right. It's a big thing.
It is. And I think what it comes to is just that however way you work it out, as long as you mutually agree and accept the process and how you're going to do it. So if what Biba just said, that her money is her money and my money is our money, if I agree to it and I accept that, I'm like, okay, well, no problem. If that's how we're doing it, and I'm okay with it, and then I have a little money of my own on the side, but as long as it's not hidden money, I think that's where it is. That's where the distrust comes in. Is that if it's kind of like, oh, I have money on the side, but then it's hidden money, and it's not being used for the greater good, like for the kids and stuff, then it could be problematic.
And in reality, to be honest, my quote money goes towards my family. I would say you don't really see me out there spending a ton of money on material things. I get really most of my joy from buying things for my family. My family as in programs for the children, or things for the house. That's kind of how I enjoy spending money.
You don't have to defend it. I mean,
right. But I'm just saying, I don't want you to take it literally, like I'm out there having vacation or doing, living the life.
But then who cares if you do that? Even if you did that, that's your right to do it. The thing is that if I'm okay with it, then I'm fine with it. Your money is your money. That's fine. Because I'm fine with whatever money I make, because I know I can make whatever money I need to make. Right. So it's like, see, that's also part of it too. It's a sense of, hey, if you got your deal, I support it. I said that's fine. What works for us doesn't necessarily mean it works for others. So you got to find what mutually works for you.
Aisha Bashir Tofa says, will you like to visit Nigeria with your family and siblings? Quick answer to that is yes, I would absolutely like to when it's safe to do so. I would like to go with Kenton. Sometimes I feel like I would prefer to go with my brother, but you know what? Maybe it might be better just to go with my husband. I used to worry that he would stand out, but of course Nigeria has changed.
Yeah, I'll blend in real well.
He'll blend in real well, don't you think? You know what? This is going to be a very long video, so I'm just going to give us one more question.
Yeah.
I'll just give us one more question. We might have to do a part 2 another time.
Yeah, probably part 2, because
maybe we'll do a part 2.
I have class coming up.
Right. Okay. So, how old were you when you met? I'll let you start.
Well, I think that, you know, if you think about it, we met each other before we were born. And like in the Notebook, so it was in a previous life, in a previous time.
No, I've never seen you before. No, I've never seen you before.
And then I've seen you.
I've never seen you before.
Seen you. Times I've searched for you through time immemorial, and then our hearts come together.
I was 19 and he was 20 going on 21. Yeah, you were almost 21.
Perfectly legal. If that's what the question is, it was legal.
And then she goes, it doesn't end there. This is Patricia James. What initially attracted you to each other? Habiba, did you ever date a black man? Oh Lord. All right, I'll answer it. I'll answer that. What attracted you to each other? I'll start with my...
No, I want to hear the first. I want to hear the second question. Did you ever date a black man? Go ahead, go.
All right, what attracted you to each other first?
Wait, what?
I was attracted to him because he was smart, he was kind.
No, I don't want. What?
Okay, did you ever date a black man?
Yeah, there you go.
For a very short period, I would say I dated a black guy. I also was very attracted to black men. There were several black men growing up that I was attracted to. And even when I came to the US, there were several black men that I was attracted to, or black young men. My challenge growing up was that I always looked really young. And so there would be guys that I would be attracted to, but they would treat me like little girls. They always treated me like their little sisters instead of like dating material. And then in college, once I was free to date as I saw fit, I guess culturally, African-American men that that liked me felt a little too fast. I often found that some of them just wanted to have sex or, just wanted to fondle me. And I just did not like that, because that's not the kind of value system I was raised with. So I was kind of put off. Now, that's not to say that every black guy is like that. Absolutely not. There have been a ton of black men before, after that I have absolutely loved and been attracted to. It just so happened that I ended up with Kenton and fell in love with him and got married. So being with a black man was never, not out of the question. It was always an option. I just also culturally enjoyed being with people who were, open-minded and culturally diverse. I've always been attracted to guys that were mixed, if I'm honest, people that had some sort of interesting mixed background, because I was sort of mixed, if you will, in the sense culturally. So does that answer your question, Kenton?
It wasn't my question.
Yes, it was, since you pushed so hard for me to answer it.
I just want to hear it and say, you're a people person, and so it's like, of course you would be. I think that's the whole thing, is that, people are going to be attracted to all kinds of people consistently, and I think it's just again, it's like having an attraction and then having a relationship and then having a long-term relationship.
Right, you can be attracted to all kinds of people. Doesn't mean you want to marry them. Doesn't mean you want to spend your life with them. Yeah. And part of growing up, I will say, is learning the difference between love and lust. We can lust after a lot of people, but as you get older, you realize lust, which is just your, I guess, anyway, you know what I mean. But my point is that there's a difference between lust and love. I have lusted over a lot of people. Doesn't mean I was in love with them. Doesn't mean I wanted to spend my life with them. And I was never the type that was just focused on one particular race. I like all kinds of people, okay? I like people that are smart, that are good people, that treat me like the queen that I deserve to be treated like, and that's how Kenton treated me. He always treated me with a lot of respect, a lot of love. He was never super pushy. He let me be myself. And so that's
right.
What has kept him here all these years.
I never had any lust in my heart. Poor Biba. No, there was no lustful fingering, nothing.
So, yeah, and then on top of that, you know, when you ask that question, sometimes people assume you only dated white people, you know, you don't date your race.
Yeah,
right. First of all, when I met Kenton, I didn't think he was white, okay? When I met Kenton, I thought he was Spanish. And if you grew up in New York, it's very common for black people to date Spanish people or vice versa.
Yeah, well,
you know, I didn't know he was Asian. Honestly, his friends were Dominican. So I just assumed he was kind of a funny looking Dominican. I had to say that. But no, so my point was I never thought he was white. Not that I wouldn't have dated a white guy, because there have been white guys that I've liked as well. But, you know, again, I like people who are good people. It has nothing to do with their race.
And again, it's also, you know, the thing is that we are not one-dimensional.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like you sit there and say, like, I will only date someone because he's black.
Right.
In itself, you have to say, like, if that's the only thing versus someone that's good, that's someone that's caring, that's someone that is supportive, that is, you know, all those things.
Right.
It's you know, not only if, but again, and that again, it's a personal decision. I mean, you know, but to be one or the other only because of one dimension,
right?
You're also shortchanging yourself.
Like you didn't always just date quote white girls, or you didn't just date black girls. There wasn't a specific like race that you had to stick to, right? It was based on the person.
Yeah. Right. That's it.
Okay, you guys, I think this video has been long enough. I really didn't realize it was going to be this long, and we still have some more questions that you've asked. We really appreciate your questions. Yep. And feel free to leave us more questions in the comments section. So I will say that I often get requests to talk to people. Like, you know, some of you want to just talk to me. Obviously, you feel like you know me. You feel like I'm a friendly person and you would love to talk to me. I would love to talk to you too, but unfortunately, that would not be possible given my responsibilities. Obviously to talk to everyone. So what I thought I would do is for those of you who really want to chat, or who want advice about parenting, or you want advice about gardening, I don't know what you want to chat about, or you want advice about cooking or recipe, or you want some level of expertise based on my medical background, even though I'm not here to give you medical advice because I'm not your medical doctor, but I am a trained medical doctor. If there's something you really feel like is pertinent and you want to chat with me, then definitely send me an email. It will cost you because, as you know, time is money. And like I said, I could not possibly talk to everyone who wants to talk to me. So if you do want to talk to me, send me an email, and if you're willing to pay for my time, I will let you know how much, and we can do a Zoom call or something like that, and I can talk to you. So hopefully that's, you know, okay, or you understand. And we hope you have enjoyed this video. Kenton has to get back to his studies because we got to get him through law school. He's got like, shoot, halfway. He's halfway done. Halfway done.
Yeah, I'm halfway done. Yeah, like a burger. Flip me over. Halfway done.
All right, y'all.
All right,
so
I love you guys.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.